So you've just took over your beloved club on Football Manager 2020. You're all excited, but you are wondering what you do on the first day. Of course, you can just press that continue button, but there's some very important things. In fact, I'm going to give you 10 things that you need to do before you even press continue on your game. If you like the video, drop a like on the video. If you enjoy it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So you'll get this screen, of course, as soon as you load the game. The first thing that you need to do is sort out your responsibilities. I'm going to tell you why. So you go to the staff section on the left-hand side, you go to responsibilities, and you can see all your responsibilities here in regards to what your staff does and what your manager does, which is you. But of course, this view is kind of annoying. They have recently changed this on FM20. I wouldn't really use this view to kind of move them between or delegate from this screen. It does become quite confusing. So I would recommend hitting these individual drop-down menus. So let's talk about the board first. Of course, you can't really change any of these. Let me show you why I think you need to do this on day one. So of course, this is the generic kind of the way that the game sets your responsibilities as you start, and there's lots and lots of things that can bite you in the bum. So in terms of this one we're on now, so we're on staff, we're on general, and you can see we're kind of doing the most of the things, but as you scroll down, you'll see that the recruit staff for the under-23s is being with your chairman or your assistant. It might be director, depending obviously on what club you're at, but you don't want either of them doing the staff. Of course, if you do want these people to do your stuff, you can do that, but for me, I don't like to waste money, especially in the lower leagues. You don't want them bringing lots and lots of staff in, so I like to do the stuff myself, so I like to keep these on myself. Again, it's the exact same with the under 18, so someone else is doing that job for you. You don't want that. And coaching courses cost money, so I like to choose who I send on coaching courses. But don't forget to make sure you press the contract screen, because the same thing will happen as well with your staff. So, you know, you've got a staff who's really bad, but your chairman or your assistant manager decides to give him a 5-year deal. You know, you don't want things like that happening. So I make sure I take control of all of this, apart from obviously the top two with the under 18 and the team selection. But staff, I always make sure that all of these are myself, so I can make the decision and not bring anyone else in without me doing it first. And then, of course, confirm that. Moving down the list, scouting, you can see assign scouts. If you're happy to let your assistant or chief scout assign your scouts, you can press take control of that as well, or you can let him do it, but I do that myself. And then, of course, just make sure you go through them. The main ones are really the staff and the transfer contracts. Transferring contracts. So transfers, again, the same thing. So if you want to send the loans out to your individual teams, you can do that yourself rather than your head of youth development doing it. And of course, the one that's most annoying for me is the fact that the under-23s, your head of youth is going to be signing players for you. And of course, for me, that is a waste of money, because the AI is terrible at this game, and they will sign really bad players and use a lot of your wage budget, which is what you don't want. So make sure the same thing is in contracts as well. I like to do all this myself. Of course, it's up to you how you guys play the game, but that is the main one for the first thing you should do on day one. And you can just kind of go down the list. Always make sure you confirm. If you don't want to do press conferences, you can delegate these. If you don't want to do training, you can also delegate your training, so that's not being touched by you. And then, of course, the tactics. If you don't want to do tactical briefings, you can delegate them as well to your assistant manager. But that is what you should really be doing on day one. Another little thing that people miss is the backroom staff arrange friendly matches for the first team squad. I always untick this because I like to do my own friendly matches, and of course I like to let my assistant actually do the friendlies, but I like to choose who they play. So again, make sure that is turned off. And then again, if you want to do touchline instructions, that's completely up to you. But the main ones for me was, of course, that the staff with the contracts and the bringing the staff in, and the transfers and the contracts in terms of bringing new players into the club. That for me is my favourite part of FM, and I like to do that myself. Quick one now. If you go to your FM button just here, go to preferences at the top, type auto. Ensure auto saves are turned on. This will automatically save the game after a month, however long you set it. You can have a 10-file rolling autosave, and you can save it every day, every week, every fortnight. 5 years is probably not worth it. Of course, I like to do a month, so I make sure that, of course, every month the game will automatically save. And of course, don't forget to save it to cloud as well, because if you have any problems with your computer, you can just log back into Steam and retrieve the game. Of course, if you have any issues with the individual game, this is why you use a 10-file roll-in save, because it will generate file after file and not save on the single file. So that's a good tip, and make sure that you have auto-saves turned on. So the next one is making sure all 3 of your tactics are loaded in your tactical bars at the top. This will increase the tactical familiarity, so you'll be able to learn the tactic much quicker in pre-season, ready for the first league. So if you've got a tactic, for example, and let's just say 4-4-2 new, I would load that exact tactic 3 times in this bar at the top, just to make sure they are training, of course, all them 3 tactics, and it will increase this familiarity probably by the first game of the season with the friendlies that you're playing. Sometimes when you join a club, they don't have any friendlies arranged. Now, I'm guilty of this. I've just kind of continued and forgot and wondered where the friendlies are. And of course, I've joined a league or a team, and they've only got 2 friendlies like Tottenham. So of course, you just go to your little bar just here, schedule. You go to arrange friendly, and then you can select what type of friendly you want to do. You can press multiple friendly, and then just choose a game for each 4 of these days, like this, and then obviously put your friendlies in. But obviously make sure you've got enough friendlies throughout the preseason to get your fitness up, to get your match sharpness up. You know, going in with 2 friendlies before the first game is not a good idea. Make sure you've got plenty of games. Of course, don't go too many because you will get injuries and your players won't be fit enough for the first game. But you do want plenty of them just to make sure that your match sharpness and your preseason fitness is nice and high. The next thing you want to do is go to your transfer tab and go to clauses. Sometimes you will notice in your clauses section that you will have players who have this little symbol just here. This means you can actually sell the clause or buy the clause. Of course, I'm looking at a selling one, but I don't want to buy any clauses. If you want to sell the clause, this will go straight into your transfer budget. So if you've got a player in your club where you can sell the clause, I would suggest selling that just to get you a bit more money at the start of the game on the first day. It's always nice. And yeah, that is the transfer clauses. On day 1, I would always look through my staff. So I would always make sure that in terms of my staff, what they're looking like in terms of the rest of the league. So as you can see, our defence coaches are really low in comparison to the rest of the Premier League. So these graphs are really handy to see where you kind of stand in terms of your coaches. Now, of course, I've only got 5 out of 9 coaches. So I've got plenty of opportunity to improve this club, improve the coaches from day 1, and of course improve the physio staff as well. You can see all of your staff for your under 18s by just pressing this and then pressing the team, and it will filter it down. If you don't prefer this view and you just want to look at the under 23 squad, you can go to the development tab, go to under 23, go to the development center, go to staff, and then press Tottenham under 23 staff. Unfortunately, it doesn't show you the names of the staff, which is really annoying. It just gives you the graph that we was just talking about. So to see that, you would have to go back to that, back to your staff on all, press the team, and then look at your under 23 staff just right here. You know, make a decision if they're good enough. Some of these players won't cost a lot of money to get rid of if you are a big club like Tottenham, like £750 per week. Is he a good enough under 23 coach? For me, he's not. Look how bad his attributes are. This guy, for me, would get released instantly and brought in much better staff. You know, if you haven't got the money, you can wait till the end of the season until they get released. But this guy would be out of Tottenham straight away. Another thing I want to talk about is on day 1, you should always look at any of your players whose contracts are expiring. This is very important because bear in mind, the moment you get to the 1st of January, any foreign club can bid for your player. Obviously, English clubs can't bid for your players until June next year, but foreign clubs can bid for any player in England from the 1st of Jan. So if I don't tie down Jan Vertonghen on before the 1st of January 2020, foreign clubs can come in for him. Of course, if you have got players like this you do want to get rid of, that's fine. But I'm just making sure you're aware that, of course, you need to offer them the contracts if you do want to keep them from day 1. On day 1, you should always talk to the board because the board, you know, that's what they're there for. A lot of the time on day 1, they won't give you stuff. But if you're looking for a senior affiliate and stuff like that as a lower league club, they generally say yes on day 1. And it does take about 2 weeks to find a senior affiliate. If they don't find one, that's their problem. But it does take about 2 weeks. So it's always good to start that on day 1. Of course, with Tottenham, I can't really ask for that. Because, I mean, if you go to your network and it doesn't say, you know, senior affiliate, but that's because we can't really get one. So, for example, improve youth recruitment. 9 times out of 10 on day 1, you will get this. But for stuff like senior affiliate and stuff like that, it will work. So bear that in mind and always try and get affiliates and stuff like that. And you can see I've just asked for an affiliate now. We believe it will be beneficial to have somewhere to park some of our many youth players. So they've agreed on day one and start getting the ball rolling with the board. One thing you should look at is the club vision. Now, the club vision is new to FM20, and they reserve, at the minute, they're reserving judgment because I've not just started, but they've got a lot of things in terms of the club culture that I have to adhere to. You know, they want me to sign players under the age of 22 for the future. If I go throughout the entire season without signing a player of the age of 22, they're going to be annoyed. But of course, that is only desired. Required stuff is like develop players using the club's youth system, work within the wage budget. So if I don't do this, and I don't do this, and I don't do these two, the board are going to be very nappy, and the chances are I'm probably going to get sacked. Now, of course, the main thing is kind of the 5-year plan. As long as you kind of finish within these two, I've not really seen any other issues if you don't follow all of these. But it's nice to learn what the club culture is and kind of see where they want to be in the 5-year plan. Now, the training is the next one I want to talk about. Of course, if you're happy to let your assistant manager do your training, which most people do, because training is quite confusing at times. As I spoke about in the responsibilities at the start, you can let your assistant manager do this, but I would just look through all the tabs of your training, maybe get some pre-season schedules set in. You can press select schedule and press pre-season. You know, you're on early pre-season at the moment, so you can do a tactical early, you can do a light early, let's say 2 matches. You can get some training in. You know, have a look at your units, what you've got in terms of if you want these in these units. Look at your mentoring. So you can have groups for mentoring. You could always ask the assistant to pick them groups for you or set your own. You know, individual training, make sure when you've set your tactic up that all of these players are playing in that role that you are playing in your tactic. So it's important that, I mean, it's not, you can change them around, but obviously if you've got a tactic you want to play, you want the players training them attributes essentially. And of course you can decide to do any traits with the players as well. And then once you've set your coaches up, make sure you go to your coaches tab, edit your coach assignments, and ensure you try and get like a light load if you can, based on obviously the nation that you're in. You can remove them all, you can select them yourself if you wanted to. Try and see, of course, what his workload will be like. You can ask the assistant to do that for you. He will try and scatter them throughout. But yeah, that has been it into the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. It's more for the newer players of FM20, of things that you should really do on day one. But either way, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something today. Drop a like on the video if you have. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.